Hi, Assalamualaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another heartwarming coffee talk sessions. My name's Norfardilawati Musa, your moderator for today's sessions. So, as always, it is an absolute pleasure to have you join us for this little heaven of conversation. So, before we dive into our discussion, I have the immense pleasure of introducing you to our incredibly talented guest speaker yang bahagia, Professor Dato Sri Dr. Syed Arabi. Welcome to OUM Coffee Talk, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no.
Alright, so before we start, let me give you a brief introduction about Prof. Yang Bahagia Prof. For the record, currently Yang Bahagia Prof is still serving as a professor at International Islamic University Malaysia, or IIUM. Prof have obtained his first degree from University Malaysia in 1968 for Bachelor of Arts. Then he continued his master degree and PhD at University of Wisconsin between 1976 and 1985 in Master of Arts in Journalism and PhD in Mass Communication. So actually Prof has started his career in the media industry by holding a position as reporter and bureau chief at Bernama before joining academic world started with University Kebangsaan Malaysia or UKM. So Prof also has hold higher management position in International Islamic University as a rector between 2006 until 2011. So definitely today Prof brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to our table about the topic that we'll discuss further, entitled Debunking Myths about Communication. So with his vast experience in communication, Prof will guide us through the myths of communication myth, shedding light on what truly foster effective connections and meaningful dialogue related to our topic. So, to get started, sit back, relax, and prepare your preconception challenge and your perspective widen. So, without further ado, to debunk myths about communication, let me pose the first question to Yang Bahagia Prof. Okay, Prof. So now we start.
Okay,
Sorry for the long introductions.
No.
All right. So basically, most of people nowadays, especially those without background in communications, often have the wrong impression about the content of communication program. So when they hear about communications, when they hear about communication degrees or anything related to communication program, the only thing that comes to their mind is soft skill, verbal, and non-verbal elements, and maybe a little bit about the mass media. Alright, so this misconception is also shared by academicians from different fields, like early childhood people. They don't really know about communication, and some dare to say that communication is part of business program. Alright, so this is very frustrating for communication people, definitely, because in our communication program standard itself has clearly stated or explained that communication program, which is now selalu dikenali dengan creative industry, adalah combination evolved from within the program within the field of arts, humanities, and social sciences. So maybe Prof can share with us some of the common perspective, belief, or myths that Prof have encountered throughout your remarkable journey about communication field.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me to this forum or discussion. I'm not sure about the word myth. Myth means something doesn't exist, and you build up on that. But I would say perhaps misgivings or exaggerated idea about communication or misunderstood notion about communication. The whole fact is that we human beings started off in communicating with one another. Yeah. So everybody knows how to communicate. And your question, everybody knows why we communicate. Yeah? But communication has a field of study. This is different. You've been communicating. People has been talking, but has a field of communication that is bringing communication at a different level. No, I don't say it's higher level, but it definitely is a different level where you make it a subject of study. Just like you say, like people in sociology, they mix one another, they socialize another. But when you come up with a discipline on sociology, it is a different field altogether. It is a field of study. So communication is a field of study. And that makes a difference between a field of study and a common understanding of communication. Yeah. Now, the communication has a field of study evolved with two different histories. One coming from the first and developing from the Second World War. Yeah. And of course, the other notion about communication and field study having a longer history. Yeah. So when you do that, then you look at, oh my, we have two different histories, but you have one field of study. Definitely, you have two fields. One is the mass communication, form of communication, or mass media of communication, and the other is the oral type. Yeah, oral type, where the oral version of communication comes in. And that has a field of study, both oral communication and communication, mass media as a form of communication, happened to develop well in the United States. So because of its development in the United States, it acquired a different orientation. Now, when it developed in the States, it had one milestone, which is a very, very strong milestone. It is when it was widely used during the First World War and the Second World War in terms of propaganda. So the idea of propaganda crept into the development of communication. So if you're looking at communication, from oral communication to mass media of communication, and its development in the United States, one from history, but even though both could be developed well from the United States, but both acquired a different theoretical orientation, and both had its own methodological orientation. So that made it more confusing to people. You're an academician and you say, what is oral communication? What is mass media communication? Why must I have different sets of theories? Why must I be quibbling about differences in methodology? No, it's from the American idea of communication. Now, when communication developed further from Europe, you get different orientation. The critical views, the cultural views, and etc. And that added on to the complexity or perplexity of communication. Education has a field of study coming from two different, maybe continents, I call it, or two different areas, two different histories, and definitely two different orientations. So, sorry, until you ask me for the question.
Alright, Prof buka je mulut terus dah jadi complex the situation. So basically communication ni, the verbal and non-verbal tu is just, orang kata, I think about 10% only from the communication field itself, right? So since nowadays information, because of the technology, information circulate rapidly and perception are often shaped by popular narrative. So it is common to encounter various misconceptions or myths surrounding communication courses. So these misconceptions, whether rooted in hearsay or misconstrued notions can significantly impact how individuals perceive this communication field. So my question is, do you believe that all these prevailing myth or misconception about communication courses have negative impact on the field itself?
Okay, I will elaborate on my earlier statement. Yeah. So from the very start, because the development is tied down to war efforts, propaganda, using film, using radio, communication from the very start was closely associated with technology.
True.
Radio is a form of technology, even broadcasting is a form of technology.
True.
So technology has always been associated with
Communication.
communication.
True.
Even if you're teaching in British universities, which is Marxist, critical, or cultural studies, you have always this notion of technology coming in.
True.
Technology in the concept of power coming in. Yeah? So you can't run away
Yes.
from that. Now, as technology evolved, the field of communication also evolved.
Yes.
Field of communication also evolved. Yeah? So right now, when we are using social media as a field of study,
True.
you also has to acknowledge the utilization of social media from the development of technology.
True.
Yeah, and I bet you once technology evolves further, the field of communication will also evolve
Yes.
as a field of study,
True.
because we want to know the impact of communication, which means the impact of mass media, impact of TV, the impact of radio, the impact of internet,
True.
impact of social media.
Yes.
These are all notions of technology. So basically you are studying the impact of technology. You are using different words
True.
to describe the communication field. No, non-verbal behavior is tied to your oral communication.
Okay. All right.
So it has always been part and parcel as you frame communication to take verbal and non-verbal behavior in the understanding of communication.
True.
So it's not mystical or something that is magical, but it's part of the development of communication.
Sure. All right. Okay. So that's what I always tell my student. The moment technology change, communication also change. So dia ni bergerak seiring.
Yeah.
These two perspective bergerak seiring. So ada banyak misconception tentang communication field ni, Prof. So since we don't have the whole day for this discussion, I would like to highlight two of them only. The first one, there is the belief that all communication students are extroverts. So it is common to hear statement like, you are an introvert, so are you sure you want to study communication? So this is common question that always experienced by introverts who want to develop career in communication field. So this is usually perceived that introverts cannot make good professional in this field, which is not always the case. Right? So both personality, introvert or extrovert, have equal opportunities to shine and show their capabilities in communication program, definitely. Second one, there is the misconception that communication students have it easy or rarely learn anything difficult compared to the hard sciences or math-heavy programs. So this is very far from reality. Communication courses are far more than just studying subject-verb agreements, writing essay, and sharpening one's public speaking skill. No. Alright, so for example, like corporate communication student, they should have critical thinking because they have to know how to handle crisis. They should know how to handle the reputation of the organization. Because to build a reputation requires years, but to ruin it in 5 minutes, you can ruin your reputation. So all these things is the communication, involve communication practitioners. For example, like crisis MH17, MH370. So all the communication practitioners have, these are the responsibility of communication practitioners. So do you think this misconception that all communication students must be extrovert and the communication student have it easy, unfairly hinder the opportunities for others in the field?
Okay, look back the history of it. Look back the history of it. In UK, for example, communication developed from what you call the practical journalism, writing, broadcasting, at a technical level. US at the academic level.
Okay.
You're looking at two different things. So when in Malaysia, the first communication program was offered to University of Malaya.
All right.
So Uncle Aziz rejected it because he
Okay.
said, this is not for university, this is technical.
Oh.
Technical means you are training students for vocational,
Okay.
technical.
There you
So
go.
he said, University of Malaya only train students for administrative,
All right.
academic, managerial.
All right.
So the idea of communication, again, has two different connotations, that you call it. One is a vocational,
All right.
hands-on, vocational, and the other is managerial.
Okay.
University should be going for the managerial.
All right.
Diploma level should, I think, will be going for vocational.
Okay.
How to do what. But at the university level, you are going to why you do it. It's no more how to do it.
Yes.
So when you're talking about handling crisis management, handling reputation, it's at the managerial level,
Yeah.
And this is where again the field of study comes in,
Yes.
because understanding this crisis requires deep insight,
True.
more knowledge about crisis that we should learn from individual crisis.
Yes. True.
So it's not that we take MH17 and that's it.
Yeah.
We should know what happened to other flights,
Yes.
what type of flight, not only flights, maybe shipping.
Yeah.
So we have a general idea of what it means by crisis. So when you are a manager, you have the insight of what happened in the past for you to handle,
Yes.
or you to give advice to your CEO.
Okay.
But if you are at the vocational, you will be listening to your CEO, and the CEO will telling you, please write a press release. Show it to me first. I will correct your English. I will tell you which media you should go. You are a technical man. I think at the communication, at the university, at OUM, you should be going at the managerial level.
Yes. So mean for managerial level, there's a lot of processes that they have to go through.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Prof. So we go to the next questions. So inquiries and uncertainties regarding communication field are common among those unfamiliar with its intricacies. So these often stem from misconceptions and misconstrued notions about the nature and scope of communications related professions. So maybe based on Prof experience in the industry and academic world, what are some common doubts or questions that individual typically harbor about the field of communication?
You're talking about students or
Anything.
both managers and
both
students?
manager also student.
Well, as you mentioned, if you look at it as I would take communication. It can also be practiced. It can be. That is why communication students are more in demand than the other social sciences.
Yeah.
People look at communication because communication is related to an industry. We have one advantage about that.
Yeah.
So you're related to PR, advertising, broadcasting, television, whatever. So you have one advantage in terms of that. So when you are linked to a profession, they would like you to have certain personalities. It's not coming from the field of communication, it's from the demand of the employers.
Okay.
They will say, I want you to know about setting up this camera.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is it being taught in your school?
Okay.
You know,
Yes.
that's the question. I want, if you are employed by the media 6 times a week, they will ask you, or Bernama. I was from Bernama.
Okay.
They ask you, are you able to write or not?
Yeah.
Were you taught writing in your school? That's the first question they're going to
Yes.
ask. Because they want to take an employee
Yeah.
who can perform immediately.
Yeah.
That is the advantage of a communication student.
Okay.
But the personality and whatnot is being shaped by the employer.
Okay.
And that is being transmitted to the academics who say, if you want to work with TV, you better have some personality that is acceptable by TV.
Yes.
If you want to be in PR, you have certain type of personality
Yeah.
acceptable by PR.
Yeah.
But if you want to join academic, well, join us.
Yes.
But your employer will be different.
Yes.
So you have to suit yourself.
Yes.
But basically, we all know that communication is both a practical use. You know, it can be used. You know? But we also like a student to go and perform immediately, but at the same time have the understanding
Alright.
to move up
Yes.
to the managerial level
Of course.
at a later stage. We do not want our student to be forever at just the initial stage.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Basically, it depends to the demand and how we suit ourselves with the demand of the employers. Okay. Now we move to the next question. So, how do you think understanding about the truth about communication benefit individual in various aspects of their life?
Talking
In general, this is
in
very
general.
general.
Yeah, I think a good understanding for you to understand that it's not only communicating. So you have to know what is communicating. Are you writing? Are you talking? Why must you talk? Why must you write? So when communication becomes an academic field, it becomes more serious.
Yes.
It demands that you understand further the process of communication. It's not only understanding the word communication, the process of communication, the model of communication, and I think at the university level, where research is being conducted on communication, is you to understand the theories in communication.
True.
So, communication as a field of study requires in-depth studies,
Yes.
which also means research.
Research. True.
That I think is our contribution to society.
Okay.
Society, we shouldn't take communication as very simple. A big problem happens, you say, this one can be solved by communication.
Yes.
I don't think there is a very simple way of, you know.
Yeah, that's people see communication, Prof. These
Yeah,
are the things that
too
we want to.
It's too simple. If there is a war, let the two parties talk. I mean, it doesn't work that way.
Yes.
It doesn't work. It's very simple. I think when you talk about that, you need a further understanding what you mean by communication.
Yes. True.
Yeah.
The process itself. All right. That's for the answer. Okay, now we go. I think this is the last question. If students have any question afterwards, you can ask afterwards. Can ask later. So we go to the last question. So, what resources or strategy can individual use to dispel misconception or myth and gain a better understanding about communication field, Prof?
Yeah. It's again two fields. One, you are looking at the academic point of view. One is looking at the common understanding or knowledge about communication. I'm reverting more toward the academic field, you know, where you do knowledge and you do research, you interact with other scholars, and you learn specific instances so that you can build theories or models, for you to understand. And that gives you a greater insight into the problems of communication. But if you take a simple understanding of communication, you can say everything is communication. Everything wrong, can solve it by communication. I don't know what you mean by how to solve it, but if you take it from communication as a field of study is very complex.
Yes.
It's very complicated.
Yes, the field itself is very complicated, but the perception from the public tu yang kita nak, orang kata nak apa, nak keluarkan, nak debunk this kind of myth supaya orang tak pandang communication is something yang is just soft skill. No, actually it's very complicated. When it comes to the field, the process that every communication student have to go through for certain position, for the certain field, but dia akan tahu lebih detail what is communication all about. Okay, that's the question from my side. So maybe we can open to the floor.
Yes, good afternoon, Professor Dr. Syed.
Can we hear? Can we hear? Okay, okay.
My question is that how do communication scholars differentiate between information and meaning, and how can this distinction help in clarifying misunderstandings in communication?
Again, this you come back to conceptualization. How do you conceptualize information? How do you conceptualize meaning? So different scholars conceptualize meaning and information differently and use it differently. English language scholars will use meaning differently from communication scholars. Information in the information KLI, information informatics, use it different meaning differently. So again, this is a problem with scholarship, with scholarship. So when we go and talk among common people, they say you scholars are all making us confused. Okay. You say information, and then you say we are sending you communication. What is what? Information meaning what is data? Is data information? Is information meaning, and etc. But coming back to communication, I think we have to look at again at the process, the meaning. If you transmit information, you call it. The meaning is the meaning has understood by the source to transmit information to the receiver. Yeah. Will the receiver understand what you are sending? So you say, I have already sent a message. You should understand. So there should be no war. But the person who says, you are sending a different message, I cannot understand you. That's why we are going to war. Simple thing.
Different perception.
But you as common person say, hey, both of you are communicating, talking, but why are you going to war? Simple thing. Why are you in conflict? There must be something wrong with you.
Yes.
So you blame it on communication. They are not communicating. So this is the. So we as scholars, we have to what is it that we can understand, given a specific context, understanding it and getting more specifics to have a greater understanding in terms of theory building.
Prof, can I say that because human communication is very complex, so in order for us to make sure our message deliver effectively, understood by that receiver based on apa yang kita nak, we have to go the process to itself. So there are so many factors that we need to consider. Is it true?
Yeah, you have. I will believe that communication occurs in a context. When you say in context, is your cultural values, your religious values. You come in. I'm also in political comm. You can see politicians communicating, the other side won't accept.
Yes.
It's because of differences in values, differences in ideology, you know. So you can say, oh, he's communicating is so simple, why can't the fellows accept? And people say, he's talking a different system.
Yes.
We cannot accept. So maybe common words are being used, but the meaning to those words are different.
Interpret differently.
Different meaning, you know.
Yes.
So now at my age now, I'm talking about, it's not only communicating, but not cognitively, yeah?
Yes.
But you also inject in emotions.
Yes. True.
Emotions, yeah? So I say something, but the element of information or the element of emotions are there.
Yes. True.
So, you know, my emotions and your emotions are different.
Yes.
You know, my culture and your cultural values are different.
True.
So what you say is different. So you say, I take meat. Somebody from Hindu said, please, I'm a Hindu, please respect. You know. Also, if an Englishman comes and say, I take meat, he say, as a Muslim, please.
Yes.
You know. Or like a good thing is campaign. When you drive, don't drink. So Muslim person said, hey, why can't I drive? I'm just drinking. But the campaign in England means when you drive, don't drink. Drink means liquor.
Okay.
But when you do a campaign in Malaysia, drive, don't drink, don't drink water. So the meaning is different.
Yes.
So the context is
Yes.
different.
Actually, in order for us to communicate, there are so many factors that we need to consider before we can make sure that message delivered correctly. So now we have one question here, Prof. So, do you foresee any potential misconception about the role of AI and automation in the communication field and its impact on human communication professionals?
Yeah, as I told you earlier, as communication evolve, as technology evolve, there's a likelihood that communication will not take over, but we will see that it has an impact on communication studies. I see AI will have an impact on communication. You now have data journalism now, data journalists. We never heard about it before.
Yes.
We have investigative journalism.
True.
Now you have data journalism. So AI, I think, will have an impact on communication. Even like PR now, or even advertising is personnel are having complaints on that. You know, CEO says, why must I engage a PR to do a press release where I can get my good man AI to do it? Yeah.
Yes.
So why must I have a library now where I can have AI? So we have to acknowledge that it will have an impact in the manner we get information, in the manner we communicate. But I'm not sure at this time where and how it will affect on communication. Okay. But I'm sure that, see, one of the other thing about communication studies is that we always look at the effect of communication.
Okay.
And we always study the bad effects.
Yes.
No?
The bad only.
You know, the violent effect, the pornographic effect,
Yes.
the violence, everything. So we might like to look at the negative effect on social media, negative effect on social media, fake news, for example.
Yes.
So we might like also to look at this, the
Positive.
negative impact of AI
Yes.
on communication. But at this period of time, I'm not sure where and how we are going it. But I really think that we could put a note there, please study the impact of AI on communication.
Okay. How about human communication, Prof? Does this AI things, because AI have no emotion.
Oh yeah, but you know, I'm not saying AI has effect on human communication. I'm not saying that AI will take over human communication.
It just gives some effect.
Yeah, it will affect.
It won't take over.
If you go cloning and etc., now people are scamming, putting the voice and calling you and say, it's like your father's voice, you know. How do we overcome that? You know, Later on, there might be a robot, looks like your father, looks like your uncle. Again, how do we do it over that?
Yes.
So these are the things that we have to be to closely
That's
investigate.
the world issue lah.
Again, when I was doing last time, when I was doing doing political rallies, the camera was very big.
Okay.
Now it's getting smaller.
Yes,
Yeah,
now very small.
And
It's
then
getting-
now you're getting smaller and smaller. You don't. Last time I used to go on public rallies, following Tengku Rahman, etc. Big cameras, 3 of people, but now you need one person. So this is an effect on you.
Some of the positive.
Yeah, some of it.
All right. So, any questions?
Yes, another one. In what ways can cognitive biases impact communication, and how can individuals overcome these biases to enhance the accuracy of message interpretation?
Again, different
again.
people, sender and receiver. I think I'm communicating. I think I can hear from you. I got to interpret what we are saying. But I might come and say I understand, but I really don't understand cognitively. I think you have to put in the meaning to that. It's not to assume that when you dish out information cognitively that I can understand you. And this is where, as you mentioned, we have to look at it in terms of the context that you're building up. So in communication, is where when you do as a field of study, has communication, I say move, but there was one area where we call it the ferment in the field. Ferment in the field where the empirical communication scholars have a good dialogue with the qualitative communication scholars. And they say, hey, we better communicate with one another. And this is where idea of framing came in. Framing, discourse came into the empirical work.
Qualitative.
Yeah, qualitative. Yeah. So, and those who are doing empirical work began to change the methodology. And I think both in terms of qualitative researchers who are in qualitative communication have also begun to realize that you need a sense of statistics. So the field of communication, I think, became richer after the effect of this ferment of the field. So, and to add on, the COVID pandemic added on more. The pandemic changed, not changed, affected the development of methodology.
Okay.
So at one time, like us, we were all in survey method. Survey method. But when the pandemic arrived, face-to-face, survey means face-to-face.
Yes.
But when the pandemic, COVID happened, a lot of us couldn't go to face. In fact, the whole world couldn't go face-to-face.
True.
But survey was needed. So a lot of us shifted to online. And when you have online, you begin to study about randomization. How to random, how to do what.
The approach different.
Yeah, different. So the idea of multi-method comes in.
Yes, multi-method.
So every I not say every crisis, but every event has cause for the events.
Yes.
So right now with AI, with the pandemic, with everything, I think we should be alert to more developments coming in, and that is going to affect our field, and not only our field, I think on other fields. But since we are coming from communication, we better be alert what is happening to our field.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else from the floor? If we still? Okay, one more. Okay. Okay,
Last
please.
question. In what ways can cultural differences impact the interpretation of messages, and how can we adapt our communication to be more culturally sensitive?
Okay, cultural sensitive. See, I'm studying leadership also. So I came up with a book on Anand Satim. Anand Satim. It just came out just 2 weeks ago. I said leadership and it's the cultural effect on leadership. You can take leadership as communication. You know, I said that if Anand Satim had been in West Malaysia, Semenanjung, would he rise up to be a leader? No. He rose up at that period of time, saying good words that made him to rise up as a leader in Sarawak. So communication is important. It must realize, or those who speak must realize the cultural effect on communication. Definitely. You know, like a good thing like awak, you know, awak.
Awak.
In Kedah, you say awak is no good.
Yes.
Hang aku Kedah is good. I'm from Kedah, I say hang aku. But you say awak in Kedah, it's not good, you know. It's not polite. You know?
Oh, saya tahu.
But if you say awak in Johor, I think people in Johor will say, hey, what is this?
Oh.
Huh? So, and then you go to Sarawak, I was serving in Sabah for 2-3 years as a journalist, you know. Kita.
Yeah, kita.
Kita has a different meaning in Sabah than the word kita here.
Yes.
See?
Totally different.
So the meaning of cultural meaning is important. Words are there, but the meaning of the words are different. So intercultural understanding is very important. You know, so even in Malaysia, we're supposed to be multiracial. We are supposed to be very sensitive to culture, you know.
Yeah.
But sometimes we are not aware of that. We are not aware, you know.
For example,
Inadvertently, certain words that are being used.
Okay.
You know? Certain words that are being used, certain colours that are being used, you know.
Yes, colours always misinterpreted by different races.
So, you know, you think, I thought, you know, you go to different states, they have different understanding. But because we are culturally sensitive, we begin to accept. We begin to say, yeah, he come from this,
Yes.
you know. But you study properly, I think, I was being in Sabah, I realized the differences of culture, Sabah and Semenanjung, you know. So it's good if more people from Semenanjung could visit Sabah and Sarawak, stay there for a period, and people from Sabah and Sarawak were to come here and learn. I think that would be very, very good.
Okay, all right. That's it. Last one.
I believe that you have done some research regarding political landscape of Malaysia. So do you have any something thoughts from yourself that you can share with the audience?
Well, I'm looking at several factors. I'm looking at the image of parties, image of leaders, image of parties, relevance of parties, you know, and it helps me to understand the decline of certain parties, the emergence of certain parties, the decline or fall of certain leaders, you know. So that has been helpful to me.
Okay.
Very helpful to me. So when I combine my knowledge in PR, I begin to have a greater appreciation of the politics in Malaysia. And my first degree is in history. So I always go back to history to understand why certain parties fall, or a lot of our parties are now falling,
Yes.
and why they are falling, and are there any reason that they can come back again, or are there reasons that they will not be coming back again? So that's been my study.
So in this sense, how communication can play a role in this perspective?
Yeah, if you look at this way, another aspect which I didn't tell is communication has, as a field of study, has also crept into so many spheres. You have now sports communication, health communication, crisis communication, political communication. You know, so because of my background in Bernama, I've been attracted to political communication.
Yes.
You know, I was 69. I had to follow Tengku in his campaign. You know, so I began to appreciate the rallies, and I followed to Razak for a while,
Okay.
and then later on I came back. I followed Mahathir, Pala, Najib, etc. So it gives me an understanding of the different rallies, mannerisms of leaders in reaching out to the audience.
Okay.
You know, at one time we had ceramah 10,000. Now you can't get 3,000.
Nowadays cannot.
Huh? Cannot. you have now you have closed door. Dewan. Last time we 10,000 the field. You can see orators, oratory. You know. So, and you know, the social media is affected. The whole, the internet has affected ceramah, politics, etc. So that's roughly what I'm answering you.
Okay, I think before we end this session, I have one last one, one last question. Since Prof said you have been working with different prime ministers, I just want to know in terms of the media control between different prime minister, how is that?
Well, I'm always biased to Tengku.
Okay.
So because that time the campaigns were very relaxed. You know, Tengku will sleep at 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. sleep. 4 o'clock he plays golf, and then night ceramah. In the morning ceramah goes out, and then ceramah. So very relaxed compared to the present ceramah where everybody is very tense, very tense. So my bias is Tengku. So you follow him, and then it's a few of us. And a few of us. I think we were in this Volkswagen following him wherever he goes. 3 of us. The ceramah is there. Then we call up. We don't have phone.
All right.
So we used to go to the public phone and call our editor. So reporting was more relaxed.
More relaxed.
More relaxed compared to my successors now. I pity them for their stress.
Very stressed now.
Very stressful.
Very stressed. With the technologies, everyone can upload anything, can share anything. Even they are not really educated in that field, they are trying to share something through the online. So, betul lah Prof cakap tu, it's quite hectic lah nowadays.
So very hectic, very strenuous. You have to meet deadlines. Deadlines every hour, every minute.
Yes, because they have to compete with the public, the citizen journalists.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you very much, Professor Dato, because willing to share with us very fruitful discussions. So, with that, see you again next Coffee Talk sessions. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum and goodbye.